Welcome to the AgriMinds podcast. If you're in agriculture and feeling the weight of responsibility, juggling work, family, and everything in between, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Casey Bull, coach, speaker, and founder of AgriMinds. Each week, we'll talk about the real side of leadership, how to think clearly, manage your time, set boundaries, and show up with intention, both at home and in the field. Let's get into today's episode. If you have been feeling super stuck and burnt out and just aggravated with feeling like you're spinning your wheels, you're not getting anything done, and you are just so exhausted, you're so done, this episode is for you. A couple of years ago, I was watching a TV show called Covert Affairs. And if you're into like the CIA agent, the FBI, like the spy stuff, absolutely love that TV show. Anyway, I was watching this TV show and one of the spies, the main character of the show, was being mentored by her boss. And she asked him, "What is the secret to being a really good spy?" And his answer was this: be unpredictable. Not reckless, not chaotic, unpredictable. And for some reason, that advice has lodged itself into my brain, and I have just not been able to forget it. And honestly, this is one of those things that, I don't know, it just makes me feel empowered. Anytime I think about it, I'm like, yeah, be unpredictable. It's keeping other people on their toes. And it's also, for some reason, I can't quite name it, it's the thing that helps me feel fresh and new and like reinvigorated from time to time. I honestly, even now, still fall into the autopilot trap. So I realize how easy it is to live life completely on autopilot. I wake up, I do my work, I take care of everybody else, I solve the problems, I go to bed, repeat. Like even myself, I still find myself getting into these routines. And the next thing I know, I'm like in this rut and I have to work to dig myself out of it. And so I'm constantly trying to find resources and mindsets and processes to get myself proactive and not get into the ruts, or at least not as deep, right? I start paying attention earlier on every single time. And here's the deal, guys, full transparency. Just because I'm a coach, just because I'm certified, just because I've gone through all of these trainings doesn't exempt me from also getting burnt out. The difference is that I'm a little bit more proactive. I have a little bit more awareness, and I actually know how to get out of it. I have processes and things, and I know what works for me compared to most people. Most people don't know the signs to pay attention to. Most people don't know that this is what I'm feeling and there's a name for it and there's a way out of it and there's an alternative. And so today I want to share with you a little bit about how to get out of burnout. I'm not talking about completely avoiding it. I'm not talking about completely preventing it because life's. But I do want to talk to you about how you can get yourself out of it and start feeling alive again. So, what I know to be true is that the hard part for a lot of people listening to this episode, this might be you, is you probably can't just quit your job. You probably can't eliminate half of your responsibilities. You probably can't just disappear for 3 months to go find yourself, especially in agriculture, right? Like we have livestock, we have crops, we have customers, we have kids. All of this work still needs to get done. So what do you do when you're burnt out, but your responsibilities aren't going anywhere and you can't just up and leave? That's what I want to talk about today. I think sometimes burnout gets portrayed like this dramatic breakdown moment for a lot of people. But honestly, I see a lot of burnout looking pretty ordinary. I see it looking like everyday life on the outside. People are looking like they've got it together, but they're actually feeling really irritated. They don't have quite the same level of motivation. They are struggling to think clearly. Words are hard some days. Emotions are either super high intense or they're not there at all. Like they might just feel emotionally flat. Maybe you don't have anything to look forward to right now. Maybe you're bored with your own life. Maybe you feel like every day just blends together and you wake up and it's the same thing and you go to sleep and it's the same thing. It's like every single day, it's the same old, same old. And you're just like burnt out from doing nothing that gets you excited. And what makes this even harder, especially with an ag, is that sometimes the routine is necessary. For example, let's just say you have livestock. Feeding them every single day is important. Let's just say you have kids. Feeding them every day is important. Sometimes the animals, sometimes the kids need the routine in order to survive. There are things we have to get done. There are seasons where structure and consistency matter. For example, row croppers, right? Right now, as I'm recording this episode, we are in the thick of planting season here in Indiana. We have to have a little bit of consistency here. And we want it's timely, it's efficient, right? But sometimes I think we might accidentally become too efficient at surviving our lives that we stop experiencing them because so many other things are controlling what we do and when we do it. And I've noticed this in myself sometimes too. There have been seasons where I realized I was driving the exact same routes every single day. I order the same foods at the restaurants. I get the same food at grocery pickup. I listen to the exact same music, the same playlist. I wear the same clothes, week after week in the same outfit, right? I talk about the same problems, the same conversations with my husband, the same conversation with my kids. I have the exact same thoughts on repeat. Everything had become predictable for me. And while routines and schedules can, yes, create stability, too much of that sameness was draining the life out of me. I thought that I needed routine and structure, and I think it was because it was comfortable. But here's the perspective shift that I want to offer you today. Maybe burnout isn't always about needing a completely different life, like a total 180. Maybe sometimes it's just needing to experience your current life differently. What if you showed up to life, the same life that you have, the same animals, the same kids, the same work, the same tasks, but you view it through a new perspective? Listen, your brain craves novelty. And I'm not talking like necessarily huge, chaotic, massive changes, but small interruptions to that autopilot. And when life starts to feel repetitive or heavy, we tend to do the opposite. We shrink, we isolate, we stop trying new things, we become rigid because you're just looking for normal. But that rigidness suffocates your creativity and your joy and your energy and the momentum. We need to be creative. Even if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not a creative person, I'm not artsy fartsy, creative is weird and whatever. Like, stop for just a second. Creativity can look very different. It doesn't just mean, oh, I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at, creating something. It can just mean creating a new thought. It can be thinking about things in a new way. Oh, this is the same route that I've taken every day. What if you took a new drive home? What if you turned on a road that you drive by every single day and you've never been down it before because you're like, well, that's not the way home? What if you just cruised and went the long way home? What if you took a turn that you've never taken before? Honestly, that's how we found our house. So we had just moved back from Missouri to Indiana, and we were staying at one of my parents' properties until we could find a house because there was literally nothing for sale over here. And one day I took a new road home. Like, I've lived in this area my entire life. I grew up here. But one day I took a different road home than I would typically take. And it was a country road. It was full on gravel, but I was having one of those seasons where I was feeling really burnt out and I wasn't quite ready to walk back in the door. So I was kind of like stalling. It was taking a little bit longer to get back home. And I just found myself on this back road and I look over to my left and it's like all of a sudden like, oh, and I look out and it was this beautiful scenery, this luscious pasture. There were huge trees in the yard that were just turning orange because it was like October. So the leaves were changing and falling, and it was beautiful. And there was a magnificent brick house with a beautiful tin roof. Like, it was gorgeous. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, if only I could find a house like that for sale, like that would be so ideal. And if I'm completely honest with you, I was daydreaming about that house the entire rest of the day. And so the next day, I took that same road home. And I'm not even kidding. I wish I was kidding, but this is just so real. The next day, I take that same road and there was a for sale sign in the yard. Total divine moment. I'm like, are you kidding me? The moment I got back home, I looked online I wanted to see the price of the house. And I'm telling my husband about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I discovered this house for sale. This is what happened yesterday. And here's today, all of a sudden it's for sale. And I'm showing him the pictures of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But also the price is a little out of our price range. Anyway, we called the realtor because I was like, I have to see this house. I need to go in this house. I don't know what is happening. I have to be there. I have to do this. And so I meet up with the realtor. She gives us a walkthrough, and the owner got back to her house a little bit earlier than she was supposed to. And so we ended up meeting the owner. How I didn't know her, because again, I grew up here. How I didn't know her, I have no idea. We ended up meeting the owner. And she's telling us that she is a widow. She is a night shift nurse and she's ready to semi-retire down in Florida. And if we loved this house, she would sell it to us as is. Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah, we signed the papers ASAP. That is the only way that we got this house. That's the only way I discovered this house, because I took a new road. I discovered something that I had been craving that I didn't know existed, all because I decided to take a new route home. Just imagine what could happen for you if you just made one teeny tiny little tweak to your everyday schedule, your everyday routine. I wonder what could happen. I wonder if all of a sudden you start to get glimpses of who you used to be, who you would rather be instead. What if you started to get little reminders that you are still a human being, not just a machine producing output, not just a mom, not just a dad, not just an employee, not just a business owner, not just a person on a committee or a board, not just a son or a daughter, not just a sibling, not just a friend, but by God, you are a human being with real skills and passion and gifts and opportunities. And I just wonder what would happen if you interrupted your autopilot. This is one of the easiest ways to feel more alive again, is to interrupt the patterns you don't even realize that you're stuck in. Like I said, take a different route home. Try a new coffee at the coffee shop. Maybe try a new coffee shop. Listen to a completely different genre of music. Wear something that feels completely unlike you. Read a book that you normally wouldn't pick up. Order the thing off the menu that you almost never choose, right? Maybe that's like your plan B for some reason, but you never choose it. Try it. It sounds so simple, but it's these little moments that matter way more than people realize. Sometimes your brain just needs evidence that life is out there outside of this bubble that you have and that you're not stuck. Here's the deal. Burnout makes us too serious. It makes us too serious. I really do believe that. It's heavy, it's transactional. Everything becomes about productivity, checking the boxes, responsibility. And I truly think that when you start to get curious, your energy starts to rise. Start asking questions again, not so that way you can solve, but just because you're curious. Learn something random. Like just start learning random facts. It starts to open up your curiosity and you will begin seeing what gets you excited. And you're like, I had no idea that XYZ thing, or what about that? It's like, just try something new, learn something new. Take your kids somewhere new. Watch a documentary about something that you didn't know anything about. Try a hobby. I don't know. Maybe you go to Hobby Lobby and you just walk down the aisles until you find something that challenges you, something that makes you feel new, something that lights you on fire. Hey, quick pause for a second. If you're listening to this and thinking, this is exactly how I've been feeling, I want you to know you don't have to keep trying to figure this out on your own and spinning your wheels. This is the exact kind of work that I do every single day with agriculture professionals who are feeling that same sense of overwhelm and feeling stretched thin and honestly just tired of operating the same way day after day. If you're at a point where you're ready to stop pushing through and actually start changing how you show up both at home and at work, I'd love to talk with you about that. You can learn more about what that looks like in the show notes. Okay, let's get back to the episode. A couple of years ago, I bought my son a keyboard, like a piano type of keyboard for Christmas. And it's the kind that you can connect it to an app and it will light up the keys that you're supposed to play for that song. And I just I bought it for myself, but I bought it for him. Anyway, I bought it because I really wanted to learn it too. And it sounds so simple, but it's like 15 minutes. You sit down, you play a couple songs, and like all of a sudden I feel like a badass again. I had no idea that I was capable of playing a song. Well, did I actually learn the song? I mean, kind of, but no. But I did musically sound okay because I hit the right keys because the keyboard told me to. But it's like something like that. It just like gave me this little bit of confidence boost that I could learn something new, that I was capable of doing something that I wasn't capable of doing 15 minutes ago, or at least I didn't know I was capable of doing 15 minutes ago. I think along the way, us adults stop allowing ourselves to explore and get curious unless we're immediately good at something, right? Like, I think we're so scared to try something. It's like, oh, I've never been good at that. Like, why pick up a new instrument at the age of 36? Why would I start teaching myself piano at 36? Like, that time has passed, right? Like, maybe back in school, I would have done that. Or maybe you find yourself at 40 and then all of a sudden you start watercolor, right? Like, pottery classes. Maybe you start doing puzzles. Maybe you start tinkering outside or wood carving or something that you've never done before. Or maybe it's something that you did when you were a kid that you forgot about because you became an adult and you had other responsibilities. And so those things that really got you excited disappeared. Believe it or not, I used to play the drums. When I was in 5th grade, I started playing the snare drum. And then throughout high school, moved to a full-blown drum set. I played other percussion items. Yes, the cowbell. And it's like, I just forgot how fun it was to make noise, make a beat. The other day, my son and I were on our way home and there was a song that had a really strong beat. And I was like, see if you can keep time. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, okay, I guess he's not been taught this yet. Here we go. So I'm telling him like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm teaching him how to keep time. And so it was so fun because we were blaring this song on the radio And both of us are just like smacking the seat and the steering wheel, just trying to keep time. And that was part of a school lesson, is to learn how to keep the beat, right? And it's like, that was so fun. So not only did I teach him something, but I forgot like how fun it was to play drums on the steering wheel. I hadn't done that in a while. I don't know why. But, like instead of just like a standard like 1, 2, 3, 4, I was like getting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And like I was like bam, 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 bam. It was so much fun. This sounds so simple, right? But it interrupted my typical patterns. It interrupted the things that I used to do in the car, because typically I would try not to have the music too loud, because my youngest, like what if I hurt her ears? And this isn't the kind of music these kids should be listening to. But my daughter wasn't in the car that day, and we were rocking out, and it was so much fun. And it just like gave me a little boost of energy. And some of the most energizing seasons of my life, I tell you what, they weren't the easiest. They were the seasons where I was learning and I was experimenting and I was growing and I was staying open to new ideas. This is one of the funnest things that I do, is I keep people guessing, right? Be unpredictable. I do this with my husband sometimes too. I keep him guessing. I think that's what keeps our marriage fun too. That's what keeps me having fun with my kids, is like every now and then when they least expect it, I'll hide behind the corner of the wall as they're walking down the hallway and I'll jump out and scare them. So mean, but so funny. And it's like every now and then you have to have a little fun, right? Like there's so much crap in the world that just bogs us down with stress and worry and all the things. And it's like, you got to have a little bit of fun now and then. Find something new, fun. And here's the deal though. You don't have to be a completely different person. But I do think it's healthy to surprise people sometimes. I think it's healthy to keep people on their toes. Maybe you're normally the quiet one, and all of a sudden you speak up, respectfully, obviously. Maybe you usually work on all the projects and you're usually the one that volunteers and says, yeah, I'll do that, because you feel guilty, or if you don't volunteer, somebody will volunteer you anyway. And then all of a sudden you start saying, no, actually, that doesn't align with the season of life that I'm in. Maybe you start actually saying yes when your friends ask you to go out for the night. I actually had a client inside of Agrimine's Live, the last round, and she did that. We were talking about this inside of the program, and we were talking about social and recreational fun and things like that. And she goes, usually I'm so tired after I get home from work and I know that we're going to the field the next day, and I always tell them no. And last night I told them yes. And not only were they all shocked, I had so much fun. And it made me realize how much I missed hanging out with my friends and how much I missed going out dancing and just laughing. And she's like, I didn't drink because I knew I was going to feel like absolute crap the next day, but I felt alive again. She's like, it didn't take all night, right? I was out for like 2 to 3 hours, and it was fun and it was refreshing, and it just like filled my cup back up. So maybe you start saying yes randomly to having fun. Maybe you start saying no to extra work that used to make you feel guilty for saying no to. Maybe you say yes, and all of a sudden you start saying no to protecting your peace. That's not a conversation I'm interested in engaging in. Maybe you get up and you walk away when somebody starts talking drama or gossiping. Sometimes people unintentionally trap themselves inside of an identity that they created years ago. And here's what I mean. Maybe you've always been the responsible one. Maybe you've always been the people pleaser. Maybe you've always been the hard worker. Maybe you're the one who always handles everything. I want to challenge you with that. Growth requires flexibility. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to become someone who feels more alive. You're allowed to go from boots and jeans to, wow, you look really nice. You put a little bit of effort into your wardrobe today. Yeah, that was me. I was the boots and jeans girl. And then all of a sudden, I started wearing dresses and I started wearing skirts. And it's like, whoa, who is this? It was awkward and kind of embarrassing. And I second guessed myself. I'm like, oh, I got to retreat, get back to comfortable, get back to normal, get back to what everybody knows Casey as. And then all of a sudden, I started showing up a little bit differently. And now I just feel more alive. Today, I'm wearing boots and jeans, but that doesn't mean that I have to stay this identity. Just because I've always been the one that's been opinionated and hard-headed and stubborn and loud and vocal doesn't mean that I always have to be that way. It's okay for me to keep quiet. It's okay for me to think to myself internally and not always share my opinion. I don't always have to make everybody happy. Just because I said yes to projects in the past doesn't mean I'm interested in being on them now. It doesn't mean that I'm interested in being on the board or the committee now. That season's over and I'm moving and I'm evolving and I'm turning into somebody else. And that is one of the best things that you can do to start getting out of burnout. If you're listening to this today, feeling that burnout, feeling exhausted, stuck, numb, I don't want your takeaway to be, I got to completely blow up my entire life and start from scratch. I need to start showing up every day completely different. It's the total 180. No. That's not what I'm saying. I would love for your takeaway to be this instead. What is one small thing I can interrupt? How can I disrupt autopilot this week? If you have driven in any newer vehicle, you can set your cruise control and the steering wheel will run itself too, not just the acceleration, but the steering wheel will keep you within the lines on the road. I had a vehicle like this as a rental one time and I hated it. And it will keep you in the road and you can keep your hands off, but you'll see that the steering wheel is just ever so slightly shifting now and then. Well, how do you interrupt that? You grab the steering wheel. Take hold of it, honey. You are in control. You do not have to set the cruise control. You don't have to stay at that pace. You don't have to stay in those white lines. Take control of the steering wheel. Put your freaking foot on the gas pedal and go the speed you want to go. Get in the lane you want to get into. Take the turn that you want to take. This is your life and nobody's going to show up to take hold of that steering wheel for you. If this is one thing that I can help you with today, it's that you are in charge. Nobody is going to come save you from burnout. Most of the time, it's because they don't even understand that you are experiencing it. Because on the outside, you've done a really great job of letting everybody believe that you're fine. On the outside, everybody thinks you're just plugging away and that you've got it figured out and that you're handling it. But you know, deep down, you're freaking struggling and you're tired of it. And you're the only one who has control over this. Grab a hold of your steering wheel today. Take control. These tiny shifts create momentum. And momentum creates energy. And energy changes how you show up at work, at home, in leadership roles, in your relationships, in your community. That changes the moment you start taking control and you start taking tiny shifts. It doesn't have to be a complete overhaul, but I'm telling you, just take a new route home this afternoon. Order a different flavor of coffee. Do something that is unpredictable. This is exactly the type of work that I do inside of Agriminds. And right now I have one spot open for Agriminds Intensive. And this is exactly for the agriculture professional who's feeling that stretched thin, stuck in reaction, overwhelmed by responsibility, or disconnected from everybody, disconnected from who they are personally and professionally feeling. This isn't just about productivity. This is about working through burnout and boundaries and mindset and time mastery and leadership and decision-making and your confidence, communication, priorities, and creating a life that actually feels aligned with what matters most to you. It's personalized one-on-one coaching designed specifically for people in agriculture who are carrying a lot and want support from someone who gets it, who understands the realities of this industry. Clients come to me when they feel reactive, overwhelmed, mentally exhausted, and they leave feeling clearer, intentional, confident, and in control of how they show up both at home and at work. So if this episode resonated with you, if you're feeling that motivation, if you're ready to take action and you're ready to stop surviving your life and start showing up more intentionally, you can book a discovery call using the link in the show notes. And I would love to support you. Okay, I can't wait to hear how this episode has motivated you and put a little fire underneath you. I would love to hear what this has done for you. Please comment, rate this episode, share it with a friend who needs a little bit of push. Shoot me a message on Instagram or LinkedIn or email me. I don't care. I want to hear how this episode has motivated you. I'm rooting for you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for being here today. If this episode resonated with you, make sure that you're following the AgriMinds podcast so you don't miss what's coming next. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, send this their way. These are the conversations that more people in agriculture need to hear. Talk to you next time.